And so we've come to the end of day one of the product design sprint. The final task we have to do is set homework for tomorrow morning. So we're looking for everyone to do a little bit of homework, come up with some ideas, some screenshots of apps or products or even broadly speaking solutions that you think could act as inspiration for our problem, for the problem we're trying to work on. So again, the areas we're really trying to focus on, just to highlight before we go through the homework, again, using our fictitious travel bucket product design sprint to explain how to set this homework. The first thing you want to do is just reread your long-term goal. So in our case for Travel Bucket, it's to create a sustainable travel company that enables users to discover, remember, and visit the places of their dreams. And the areas that we have identified to focus on are steps 3 and 4 here in our map, which is around influencers adding activities or locations or restaurants or whatever it might be to a list that they have compiled for a specific place. We've got a key step here around users adding those places or restaurants or activities to a bucket list that they themselves keep. And then we've got a final step, which is around kind of getting last minute deals and being able to capitalize on those. So what we want to do is come up with a couple of things that we might find inspiring around that. The idea tomorrow, which we'll run through in the next video, is we're going to start looking at solutions for those specific areas. And to kick things off, to get our creative juices flowing, we just want to look at some solutions maybe in this area, or they don't have to be specifically for this problem, but they could be in an adjacent industry or something that you just find quite inspiring that could help you narrow the focus a little bit. So there's an example here already on your board. This is kind of showing you what we will be doing tomorrow. We'll be adding in some stickies and having some voting and letting people read through them and explain their ideas. That'll all come in the next video where we'll explain that. But just to explain the type of content that you might be looking for. In this case, on your board, you should have one here from Airbnb, one from Lemonade, and one from Lyft. And there's obviously a couple of reasons why people have selected those. And tomorrow they'll be able to walk through them. Now, to give you a little bit more of a concrete example, in our case, I have put together here a couple of boards. As you can see, there's plenty of room here, and you can always make more room if needs be. But for our Travel Bucket app, just to explain the concept of what we're trying to do here, I looked at Airbnb firstly. So specifically, I was looking kind of around wish lists and map functionality. So on Airbnb, there's a nice flow where you can kind of add something to a wish list or create a wish list. You've got your list of wish lists here, and then you've got kind of a scroll view of it. And then if you wanted to click into a map, you can see that. So I'm kind of thinking here, I guess, from the user perspective. So that's in our step 5 here, how that might be useful to them. So it could be a case that they see a place, they add it to a wish list like this or create a wish list. They can then see all the places within that, and there's filters or whatever to find it. And then maybe they can go to a map view as well and see here. Now again, we're not going to copy this exactly because these are all for accommodations, but potentially we could have a symbol here for restaurants. We could have a symbol for a museum or activities or whatever it might be, so that they can see on the map the places they've saved. So that's one thing that might inspire people and get them thinking a bit creatively. The second one I was looking at here was Sky Sports, and this was more around sort of filtering. So again, they've got kind of different sports that you can pick from in the menu page, which I quite like the big images. So that could inspire some people, and potentially here we could be looking at either different locations, a little bit like your wish list, or you could indeed be looking at breaking down content this way. So it could be, museums here, restaurants, it could be sights to see or hikes or whatever in the different squares like that. And then once you go into one of these, so if we go into football in this case, we have kind of 2 sections of menus. So you've got your news, videos, fixtures, results, and tables. And then if you go into any of these, you can further order the content there. So I guess I'm just thinking there a little bit around, if rather than a sport, this was a location, and maybe this was, restaurants, and maybe this was kind of breakfast places or lunch places or dinner places, or, different types of cuisine, whatever it might be. So just different ways to kind of intuitively organize content, because again, one of the things we had said was that we wanted influencers to be able to create a place where they can compile their travel recommendations and kind of keep that organized. And we actually mention organization over here as well for the users. So how can they organize their bucket list places? So that's just one way that content could potentially be organized. And then finally, another one that could potentially be inspiring along similar lines of organizing content is from Spotify here. So as you can see, you've got kind of a section of filters that you can apply. And in this case, if you pick albums, you can then add in more filters and apply them, and it kind of identifies the content that you're looking for from that point on. So that's just a sample of what you could do. Now, again, you can think more broadly. It doesn't have to be a software solution that you come up with. It could be the baggage check at an airport. It could be how you get your train tickets from the machine in a train station. It could be something that you like about ordering your local coffee. It could be anything that you feel could be related to the problem or could provide some kind of inspiration towards solving that problem can go down here. So it doesn't have to just be software. Now, as I said, we'll be going through each of the solutions that people have picked out in an art gallery style form exercise tomorrow, and we'll explain that again at a later point. But just to know that for your homework, try to come up with around 2 or 3 inspirational solutions, take screenshots of them, and send them to the kind of main facilitator or the organizer of the sprint. Try to send them to them before the end of the day today so that they have a chance to put them into the Miro board and organize them. You probably, if you are the facilitator here, you probably don't want to have, say, all of the ones from me in a row. You might want to mix them around. So you might leave the Airbnb ones where you are, but you might move, say, these Sky Sports ones down here, just so that they're a little bit disguised and people don't know exactly who's added which ones. It just rid of potentially a layer of unconscious bias there. So try to scatter them around. And as I said, try to have them sent over to the main facilitator before the end of the day. And if you do have a number of different areas that you're looking to target, try to maybe do 1 or 2 from each different area. You only need 2 or 3 in total, but try not to maybe have them all focused on one area. Try to spread it around a little bit and get some inspiration in each area that you intend to focus on for day 2. So that's the homework for today. Don't spend too long on it. It shouldn't take more than 15-20 minutes. Hope that's clear. Well done on completing day 1 of your sprint, and continue on to the next section to start day 2.